Hello, greetings, brothers. How is everybody this Sunday evening? Thank you for being here. Nice to see you guys. Remember, if you are new here and you want Blood Angels content every week, subscribe. And James, Yeti Electric, coming in straight away with a brand new membership. Welcome. Was it brand new? Yes, brand new membership. First time. Much appreciated, James. Thank you. How is everybody this evening? As always, please put any questions you have in the chat. We're going to be looking at army lists. Hello, Dark Ginger, Mike, Helen Phoenix, John Turner. John's asking anyone get a game in this weekend. I did not. I went to a 40th birthday party last night, and I'm hanging, or I'm okay now. I was hanging pretty rough this morning. But I have I have an RTT next weekend. Hello, Carter. How you doing? And James, you were a member before, but you missed the renewal. No problem, James. Thank you so much for doing that. I do appreciate the support, all the time you guys give me. It's much appreciated. We've got a few lists to look at today. Let me tell you who we're looking at. This week we've got Alejandro, Fuzzy, Henrik, Highland Phoenix, James Fisher, Packhammer. Next week we've got Darth Reaper, Destronic, James Gibb, Odds, Pricey 586, and Turkey Baster. So that's who we're looking at. That's the lists for this week. And I did promise for a few weeks now we'd get Chris on the channel to talk about his Centurions. Sounded like a few of you guys really liked the interview that we did with Chris. We'll try and get some other Blood Angels players on the channel soon as well, to talk about other like tournament winning lists. But if you did watch the video with Chris, I do appreciate it. And if you ever get value out of any of the videos, always remember to hit that like button. It's appreciated. Am I going to buy 5 Centurions? I don't know. I don't know if I want more Centurions. Steven's picking up a Judiciar tonight to experiment with the Judiciar of Whirlwind. Okay, double fight last could be interesting. Okay. Let's talk about Alejandro's list then first. And he sent me a list last week, but his list he sent last week was wrong. I think he wanted to send me a list that included Centurions. So I can see at the bottom of the screen here, he's included the Centurions this time. So this is a list he wanted to submit using fire support using a Kratos and Melta equipped Centurions while leveraging regular jump hitters. I regret not being able to find points for another Incursor or Infiltrator. And in the Centurions, I'm not sure if I'm going for bolters instead of launchers, but the launchers would mean getting rid of some models elsewhere. I thought the launchers were cheaper than the bolters, but let's see. I think he means the assault launchers. Alright, so there's a 2 CP 2000 point list. He's got 2 extra relics. He's got Astrath of Mantle and Canticle. He's got a captain on the bike with Soul Warden, Hammer of Baal. Interesting. And he's the chapter master. Please tell me you're going to watch you G-Man play today. I don't know what you mean, JT Money. I've been out of town all weekend, so I'm only just back in town this afternoon, and then kids and unpacking and stuff. So if there's something I should have watched, I've missed it. Highland Phoenix said we should all have 6 Assault Centurions on the shelf. I don't know, man. I'm still not. Oh, the Giants just kicked off. Oh, right. Haha. I don't have. I used to subscribe to whatever it was called. And if I forget the NFL name, the app, whatever it was like. But I haven't subscribed for a couple of years now, actually. Okay. Sangre Priest with Rites of War and Teeth of Terror. So he's got the Objective Flipper Priest, Teeth of Terror. He's got a Chapter Master with Soul Warden giving 2 bubbles of Feel No Pains. He's got 2 Assault Intercessor squads and Incursor squad. Do you know the cheapest money-wise damage-dealing unit or character? Well, I mean, that's a hard question because there's a few it could be. A Death Company with Thunder Hammers do a lot of damage, but you know what? you mean cheapest? Yeah, you mean cheapest money-wise? I mean, I guess probably a Sanguinary Guard squad. Cheapest would be the cheapest money guys. Yeah, I think Sanguinary Guard would probably be your cheapest if you just want to do a lot of damage. If you're new and you're just getting started. We have the 5-man squad of Assault Centurions, and these guys each have melta-guns, but they don't have bolters, they have assault launchers. Which is fine. It's just a different build from the Flamer Bolter build. It's the same cost though, because the bolters cost 10 points and the meltas cost 10 points, and the Flamers are essentially free, so... Do I like assault launchers and meltas compared to bolters and flamers? I think I prefer bolters and flamers. You've got more Overwatch potential with the bolter and flamers, and you've also got just a lot more clear, I guess, against weaker targets, right? And you do technically, Highland Phoenix says, you do only need one assault launcher in each squad if you want to be able to pay the stratagem, right? Good evening, Jim. How you doing? We then have a squad of Death Company with 3 Thunderhammers, 1 Infernal Pistol. We get the Sanguinary Ancient with Visage of Death. Strange choice, Visage of Death. We often talk about one of the reasons when you take the Sanguinary Ancient is so that you can get Wrath of Baal, but I guess Visage of Death gives you a bit more obsec, or obsec denial. 2 6-man squads of Sanguinary Guards, Swords and Axes, which is good. And then the Kratos with double las cannon, Kratos battle cannon, and a multi-melta. I know I did a video on the Kratos, but it was probably like a month or 2 ago, and it was I'm gonna have to just quickly look at the Kratos' data sheet. Here it is. So it's equipped with a battle cannon and 4 heavy bolters, and 2 of the heavy bolters can be replaced with 2 las cannons. Okay, so yeah, so he's put las cannons on the sponsons. He's got the Kratos battle cannon on top, which is pretty nice, in that it's got either heavy 1 d3 plus 6 damage or heavy d6 plus 3 damage. I like that high explosive cannon on that battle tank, honestly. I think it's pretty good. And then he's thrown a multi-melt on top, and that's 330 points. Kind of cheap multi-melt. Normally when you put multi-melters on the tanks, they're like 20-25 points, so getting one on top for 10 points is pretty decent. Las cannons are kind of swingy. I tend to agree with Highland Phoenix here in that, like, d6 damage from las cannons isn't my favourite. I might have gone Volkites on the sides. What could you have had? You could have Volkite Calviers, which is... I mean, they're not that great. Heavy 2, but on the other side you could have Volkite. So you could have one side that's like heavy 8, 602, and one side that's heavy 4, 602. I mean, I probably still prefer that over las cannons. Las cannons for me always seem... they're just too swingy. Finally got into stream, says Jeffrey. I'm going to have to get a list in here fresh off an RTT with 200 RTT win with 273 points, 3 rounds. Well done, Jeffrey. I have an RTT next Saturday. But yeah, please do submit if you want a tournament. Submit your list and like if you can when you submit your list, message me on Discord like a screenshot of your BCP results. That would be super cool as well. So, we can put that up as well. Okay, so this list is your block of Centurions, Death Company, Double Sandguard, a heavy fire support from the Kratos, Incursors and Assault Intercessors, a Priest, a Captain, Astaroth. I mean, all these things together are strong, right? Like, I dislike the double las cannons, because they cost quite a bit of points, and in my opinion, it's only 2 shots. When you have a double las cannon, you end up hitting with 1, wounding with one, and then if they do fail the save, it's d6 damage, which can be anything from 1 to 6. I genuinely just dislike double las cannons. The Death Company look fine. I mean, 4 hammers would be better, but 3 is fine. The Centurions look fine. I think I prefer the Bolt or Flamer version that a bunch of people are playing, but if you want to run the Assault Launcher Meltagun version, that's fine as well. Do you know, I don't actually have a whole heap of criticism on this list. I agree when you said it would be nice to have another squadron cursors. Just one troop, 2 of your troop choices not having any real mobility. Because assault intercessors don't really have any mobility, do they? Yeah, I mean, like, could one of your Centurions run Flamers, or 2 of them run Flamers, and then you could get your Incursor squad? That would be better. Starting with 2 CP as well, yeah, okay, there's not much you could swap out with your CP wise. I like Quake Bolts with Centurions, because Centurions melee, the weakness of the melee is the weapon skill of 3. So you have Quake Bolts, you can sort of counter their crappy weapon skill, and you can even put Quake Bolts on the Centurion Sergeant as well if he's got the Storm Bolters, Hurricane Bolters. So there is ways, like if you put Quake Bolts on your Centurion Sergeant, when they go into melee, they're probably going to hit on 2s. It's going to definitely do even more damage. Could be cool. I generally like the Kratos. It's like toughness 8, 18 wounds, right? And it's got smoke screen. Toughness 8, 18 wounds. It can smoke screen. Can it? No. Yeah, it can smoke screen, sorry. The only thing about the Kratos is it can't ever be obscured. How big is a Kratos compared to like a super heavy tank? Does anyone have a Kratos in a super heavy tank? Like what's the comparison size wise? I turned the leftover meltas from Centurions into Infernal Pistols. That's a cool idea. So many people are talking about Centurions. Yeah, they in some ways they're a little bit of a crutch for Bun Angels at the moment, I guess. It gives you a big, huge, durable squad that can push on and that needs to be dealt with, because if they get into melee combat, they'll just wreck anything. Jim says he mastercrafted the Sergeant's drill, so you've got 4 damage, strength 10 drill on the Sergeant. That's actually sounds really good as well, Jim. I guess you could even put Quake Bolts on somewhere else. So, yeah, I like the Centurions a lot. It seems like they've got a place in Blood Angels lists for the moment, backed up by a priest, getting extra movement. It seems good, and John's saying that the Volkites on the turret are much better. The battle cannon can be replaced with a 4 Volkite Cardinal, which is heavy 8. It's basically oh right, it's a auto cannon, but each 6 does a couple of mortal wounds. I think if you have a Tech Marine for this Kratos, I'd probably take more Volkites, but if you don't have a Tech Marine, the thing is I don't like running armor without Tech Marine, because again the weakness of armor is the 3 up. So the second this thing gets profiled, it'll be hitting on like 4 ups. 4 ups and then 5 ups, and at that point 330 points for something that's hit on 5 ups is pretty rubbish, and you've got no Tech Marine. I don't like running too much armor in Blood Angels list without Tech Marine. In all my lists that I ran, I think if you run anything more than a double Dreadnought, you need to think about a Tech Marine. Or you could double Dreadnought works because they're core, so you don't need to worry about Tech Marine. But if you're running any sort of armor, I think you need a Tech Marine. And yeah, 66 flamers and 18 rapid fire shots on the Centurions if they're armed with the bolters. I prefer that to the meltas. The thing is, I think why put meltas on the Centurions? Because when the Centurions charge armor, they're killing armor. So you want guns on them that doesn't kill armor. So your guns kill the chaff units, then they charge the armor. That's how I see Centurions. So I don't love this. Yeah, but that's sort of my opinion on this list. I think that, well, the fact that we just did an interview with like a very, very high level top player running the 5-man squad of Centurions. If you haven't checked out that interview from Friday, go watch the video. There's a lot to cover, I guess. Okay, Fuzzy. This is his list. He was in chat earlier. Thanks for being here, Fuzzy. This is my first competitive list for League that's just started. I based it on the Death Company, which I like a lot. I chucked in Armigers because I like the autocannons. I don't know if I feel like autocannons are scary, but sure. They offer great range movement and can handle the backfield and stop deep strike. Yeah, that's true. Typical secondaries are Fury of the Lost, Blade of Sanguinius, Abhor the Witch, and Engage on all fronts. I know it isn't the strongest meta list, but it's simple, and it's to help me learn competitive play. I always thought this game should be fun and enjoyable first. Yeah, I mean, I think that's probably a good way to look at the game. If you're not having fun, why are you playing, right? Okay, so it's a 4 CP detachment, and then I guess the Armiger detachment will be down here. And he's got 3 Helverins. Okay, so it's all shooting it's basically an all shooting knights. Alright, so Astrath, Standard Mantra Canticle, Death Company Captain with Gift of Foresight, Hammer of Baal. Okay, Gift of Foresight and Hammer of Baal. I guess that's good. I mean, gives them the 3 damage, gives them the 2-up hitting, gives them a little bit more survivability with the Hammer of Baal. Yeah, I don't dislike it. I wonder, because you're hitting on a 2-up, would you be better with like Imperium Sword? Just, I mean, I guess Gift of Foresight gives you a little bit of survivability as well. So, okay, Gift of Foresight, but I think if you just wanted to go full damage on that captain, you could probably go Imperium Sword. Then you have a priest with a jump pack, and I think if you're running this priest with a jump pack, you really should be considering Rites of War for him. This was a video I made 2 weeks ago about Rites of War and how important it is to include OBSEC. I think is really important. But I mean, do these knights get OBSEC? Because they might just, the knights might have OBSEC. I forget the exact wording. Like, I know they count for 5 models for objective holding. Right. They count for 5 models, and they also have OBSEC. Then maybe you don't need Rites of War at that point. Yeah. Okay. I thought that was the case. So you actually have like a boatload of OBSEC here. You've got Incursors, Infiltrators. You got 3 Death Company with hammers and power swords in each of them. I like these Death Company. 160 points. That's a lot of damage. You also got Astrath in there to prevent them ever dealing with morale. You got ways of buffing them up as well. Feels a little bit sad you don't have a Chapter Master reroll, because Chapter Master reroll on Death Company is like, it's super strong for like the Thunderhammers, but I suppose you could get Litany of Hate off on Astrath, so you could maybe make up for it. You've got your Assault Squad to probably do actions. You've got an 180 point Bite Squad, which is just 3 with multi-meltas. And then you got the 3 Armigers. I mean, this is a cool list. So you have the priest to get them into Assault Doctrine, but yeah, you would Chapter Master rerolls benefits this Forlorn Fury Death Company, or any Death Company, stupidly well. I guess your Death Company captain can give you reroll ones. That's something. I guess Astaroth can give you reroll everything if he's out of position. The nice thing I like about is that Armiger squad's still battle forged. It is because they count as there's something in the Knight Codex. I've got the Knight Codex. Hold on. There's something in the Knight Codex. Wandering Hero. If this attachment is a super heavy auxiliary detachment that contains one free blade unit, until the end of the battle, that unit gains the Agent of the Imperium keyword. Only one free blade unit in your army can have this keyword. So that's if you were taking a single knight. Armiger class units and Imperial Knight detachments gain OBSEC. Good evening, DTM. I thought it would have been here in detachment abilities. It's been a little while since I looked at knights, but the 3 Armigers do indeed count as a single unit, right? Oh yeah, so it contains one free blade unit. Yeah, so you're right. They use the Wandering Hero special rule. It's one unit of Armigers. That means that they get OBSEC. They count as 5 models, and as far as I can tell, there's nothing that says they can't use stratagems. They wouldn't be able to get things like relics or warlord traits. But they can use stratagems, and they can also choose one martial tradition. In this case, he's picked Frontline Fighters, which is the one. Martial Traditions, Frontline Fighters, it should be here somewhere. I always wish they'd put this stuff in alphabetical order, you know that? Like a right idiot looking for it on stream. Frontline Fighters, tell me what it does, somebody in chat. Free Blade Martial Traditions. It's not there. Oh, so it'll be from one of the houses ones, won't it? Frontline Fighters. Each time a model becomes martial traditional makes a ranged attack. If the target of the attack is 18 inches of the model, add 1 to the strength characteristic to the attack. Okay. So, if you're within 18 inches of these Helvigers, then their autocannons are strength 10. Sorry, autocannons are strength 8. Yeah, and I guess they're multi-melta, or sorry, they're meltagun because they don't have any multi-melta. That'll be strength 9. And I guess their stubbers get better, strength 5 as well. Okay. I think it's decent. I guess their autocannons are pretty good. They're much better than Space Marine autocannons. I think they're similar to the autocannon that you get on the Predator tank. But I think the one on the Predator tank might only be -1 AP, so these are just better. So 3 Armigers is great. I think it's good. I think it adds a lot of OBSEC. It gives you some shooting. I wouldn't have been upset if 2 of them were shooting and 1 of them was melee, because I think the melee Armigers, whatever they're called, the Warglaves, like their thermal spear is basically a 30-inch multi-melta, and I think it's really good. And their chain sword, or their Reaper chain cleaver, is genuinely really scary as well. Potentially 12 wounds at -4 at strength 10 or something, so I wouldn't be upset if one of them was melee. You could have 2 Armigers sit back and hold objectives, and you could have 1 push forward and it's 5 models and it's OBSEC and it needs dealt with. Meanwhile, you've got the 3 Death Company. I don't know if I feel like you need 2 squads of infiltrators in this list. Not if you got 3 Armigers that are in the backfield, holding objectives, really. Like, infiltrators to me feel like wasted points. I'd probably rather just go incursors. I mean, you've put the gauntlets on them as well, which gives them added reliability, but again, I don't think you need two squads of them. Maybe you could do one squad of them. I mean, one squad of infiltrators and 2 armigers, you're going to be able to zone like a ton of the map with that. You got the attack bikes, the multi-meltas, you got all those Death Company, you got the Priest, the Death Company Captain, and Astaroth. I feel a little bit sad there's no Sanguinary Guard here. I mean, the only thing you could possibly swap them out for would be like the attack bikes or the assault squad, or a bit of both. Maybe if you took one of these squads down to incursors, you could do that a bit. I think Sanguinary Guard, there's too many types of plays you can make with them in games that like can win you games. You know, the heroic intervention they can do can give them a ton of extra movement in your phase. They can keep the opponent off guard. I find they're generally more reliable than Death Company because they don't take -1 to hit. If anything, they get +1 to hit because when they're near your warlord, then they're hitting on 2s. So I would love to see a way of getting a squad of Sanguinary Guard in here. I mean, everything else I like, except that you've got no Sanguinary Guard. And the armigers can perform actions as well sometimes, right? Like, what's their battlefield role? They're just a Lord of War, are they? Alright, so next time you're looking at dropping some of the knights and taking some more Sanguinary Guard. I mean, that would be good. I think the knights do add quite a bit of value. They obviously do cost some CP, which is tricky to manage, but I don't think I think the knights combined with the Blood Angels is good. I just think there's a lot of value in a Chapter Master in a Blood Angels list because he can give out rerolls to things that are jumping away, and I know quite a few people that I guess have been running double infiltrators. We talked about that the other day on the channel video about the double infiltrator squad. But I think honestly one squad of infiltrators is probably enough. I mean, you just have to place them smartly. When I was running the Patrol Vanguard list like a year ago from now, maybe a little bit more. I just run one squad of infiltrators. I think one squad of infiltrators is plenty. I mean, unless you're being like super defensive, like you've got something that you really need to screen, but I don't see that working in a list like this unless you had like a super heavy tank or something like that that's going to be generally very weak and needs screened, but like that's not really what this list is. So if you're dropping the armigers, I would totally consider Rites of War on this priest. I feel very sad this is a Death Company Captain, not a Chapter Master, because I think there's a lot of value in the Chapter Master, but I guess the Death Company Captain opens up Fury of the Lost a little bit. And then, like I said, more Sanguinary Guard in most lists are going to help out, right? The Knights mix just seems so fun, says Jim. The Knights are very good, I think. And I think they can synergize with you. And I generally feel that the Knights like 5 model count as obsec thing is like arguably not obnoxiously good. Like I like it a lot. Okay. Oh, sorry guys. Yeah, like I said, I was out way too late last night drinking, so a bit tired today. Mike's testing on a 24th. What are you testing, Mike? You're testing Knights? Just Obsec of the Night seems like a fun choice. Yeah, and that's why I would like one of your knights to be melee, because you can put, I'd put one of the knights forward and hold a couple of them back. I think a mix of those knights seems like it has a lot of potential. Okay, Henrik says, greetings. I posted a list a few weeks back, but I think I posted it the wrong way. Had a pastebin link with the latest community post. Okay, I don't. I guess you did post it the wrong way, Henrik. I play regularly with friends and occasionally local tournaments. Usually play LGS. Sorry, usually play LGS plays at 1K, but I'd like some comments on the list. I'm going back and forth on eliminators, which works best for action monkeys to score me relentless assault easier than doing actual damage. Also, the 6 plus advance plus 6 move is good, but I still like my other teeth to be. I found Eradicators being a better punch for heavy elite slots. I mean, Eradicators are, but they're slow as well, right? Eradicators are something that my opponent usually respects and force them to deploy and play in certain ways. Eliminators aren't that scary, they're only for scoring. I've also been trying assault squads now and then. After my last defeat against Tyranids, I'm doing 2 squads. The following list can be changed easily. Swap out the Eradicators into the 3 squads of Eliminators with 2 last fusils, or drop a single assault squad for a single eliminator squad with the above weapon loadout and give a 5th Thunderhammer on Death Company. Still, maybe the reps I've done intimate my comeback to Eradicator set. This list with its minor tweaks scores me Blade of Sanguinius 10 or 15 almost every game. Astaroth is my guy for this. Relentless is 8+. My 3rd secondary barrier is an opponent. What do you think I should settle for this and get more reps to master, or go in a different route today? I give a simile. I set as 8 points on paper, but in the game my Sanguinary Priest rarely dies unless it's a loss anyhow. Okay. Yeah, so you're giving away points because you've got Dante, Astaroth, the Priest, and the Ancient. But I mean, that's fine. The Ancient has Warlord traits that I love, Rites of War and Wrath of Baal. The Priest has the Selfless Healer and the Teeth of Terra. And Dante's the Warlord. Okay. So we're starting on 3 CP. We've got double Incursors, we've got Intercessors with bolt rifles, we've got double Sanguinary Guard, swords and axes. We've got double Death Company, 1 Power Swords, 1 Thunderhammer. We've got the 2 Assault Squads with some pistols and a Lightning Claw. We've got 5 Eradicators and Metal Rifles. That is apparently 2,000 points. It feels light for 2,000 points. Why does it feel light? The 3 characters are probably like... Oh, Selfless Healer, alright. 450 points for these characters. 300 points. 7s are like 210. So 400, 350. Yeah, I mean, it feels light because I guess like double Assault Squad, the Selfless Healer and the Ancient. I mean, you've got a lot of points in. You got more points than I would like in characters. Like you're very close to 600 points. Must be like 575, and like I don't even like spending 400 on characters. I think characters multiply your forces. They're not there to do killing and be your force, I guess. And at like 575, you're kind of thinking that they are your force a little bit. And when I say it makes your list feel light in terms of like the raw number of units in the list does feel pretty light because you've spent 575 on characters. I have 6 Eradicators. I've never run them in a 5-man squad. Maybe I need to try. How hungover am I? Yeah, I mean, I feel okay now, Mark, but tired and foggy is where we are. Yeah. I maybe had like 20 drinks last night, and I never drink more than like 10 drinks. It was a 40th birthday party, so it was fun. The list feels light because too many characters. I can't complain about both squads of Sangard and the Death Company. I can't really complain about any of your character picks. I don't know if there's that much value now in Selfless Healer, I feel like. But some people still use Selfless Healer. Some people think like they get a good amount of value out of it. I've never run the Eradicators in 5-man squads. My opinion of them in 3-man squads is they are fine, but I always feel like if I need multi-meltas on my list, I'd probably prefer to just run attack bikes because I feel like the 14-inch move on the attack bike is just so much better, and I couldn't get them where I need them to be. Steven says 20 drinks and I'm in hospital. Okay. I mean, I did after I don't know, like drink number 20 was like a sambuca, and at that point I was like, right, I need to drink some bloody water because this has got crazy. Um, the priest could be given Visage of Death maybe for 2 obsec unit funny business. I prefer Rites of War on the priest. But yeah, I suppose you could give him Visage of Death. Um, the double assault squad to do your actions seems okay. I guess 5 Eradicators is probably okay as well. Maybe having a priest to try and keep them alive and bring one back is okay. It's just not what we see many people do at the moment, I guess. 5 Eradicators cost like 225 points, 3 attack bites cost like 180. So I guess the Eradicators do put out a little bit more firepower than the attack bikes, but like obviously they're a lot more immobile, and you can't split the fire like you can with attack bikes because you have that like total obliteration to worry about, where you have to target the same character with all the Eradicators to get double number of shots, right? If you are going to go 5 Eradicators like that, would you not want to put a multi-melta in on one of them as well? Would that not be worth doing? Again, this might just come down to points, but like, I think if this is me, I would. This was my list. I would drop Selfless Healer. I would give Rites of War to my Sanguinary Priest, and I'd probably lose the Ancient. I think when you have 4 characters like that, is it not? Well, I played a few. I played a few GTS last year where I had 4 characters and just felt like having that 4th character, especially when they're all expensive characters, right? They're all like 100 and some points. Um, it just felt like I didn't have as much flexibility with my units, and I didn't do as much damage as I would maybe hope. It'd be interesting to know, like, if like across all Blood Angels games for the entirety of 9th edition, like what is more successful, lists with 3 characters or lists with 4 characters? Because I mean, you could argue all 4 of those characters are good, so you could take all 4 of them. Just the lack of points and other things makes me feel kind of sad. You only really have 10 Death Company because you got the 2-5 and the 14 Sandguard. So if like 1 or 2 of those squads die pretty quickly, then you're hurting for damage output, bar your Eradicators, which could be great or could be a little bit immobile. 4 characters provides an angel sacrifice for each squad. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's true. And if you're a very high level player, Highland Phoenix, you could maybe make that happen. Each squad could have a character with them, and you could be trying to sacrifice the character to keep the squads alive. I mean, that works in melee, but maybe not so much in shooting, right? So yeah, finding the right fire support for a Blood Angels list at the moment is very difficult. I don't think we've settled on what one we think is best. Multi-melt attack bikes are definitely an option. Eradicators are an option. He said he could change out some of them for eliminators, so they're an option too. Eliminators feel more like a scoring unit to me, and I think you kind of mentioned that, Henrik. So like, if you're looking at a scoring unit, I don't know if you need more scoring units when you've got kind of 2 jump pack units there that are primarily for scoring, I would argue. So if you were going to put eliminators into this list, then I feel like you'd probably want to pool the assault squads out and change them for, I don't know, a third squad of Sangre Guard or a squad of Terminators or this big squad of Centurions or something. I mean, like, excuse me, because if you added in eliminators over the eradicators, then you're looking at like you got a lot of stuff that scores, but you don't really have much to do damage. And at this point, I think because you've got 4 characters, you're gonna need stuff to do damage. People keep telling me about the Gladiator Reaper. I'm gonna do a video on the Gladiator Reaper this week, actually, Jim. I already started some slides last week on it to see if I feel like it's gonna be worth buying, because it seems to be mentioned a lot that people think the Reaper is actually going to be good as a fire support choice for Blood Angels. I'm not convinced. I'm going to work out some things, and we're gonna see. I guess onslaught cannons go burr. I mean, they do, and then into an armor of contempt unit, they don't kill anything. So I mean, there's that to consider as well. Okay. Highland Phoenix, a member of the channel for 1 year, 7 months. Thank you for that, Highland Phoenix. I do really appreciate it. Apparently you received one of the highest number of hearts from me. So you must put a lot of comments on my videos. Alright, this is a list called Reap the Whirlwind. It's going to cost 2,000 points. It's a battalion. It's 3 CP. He's going to start with an Eviscer Assassin with the Neuro Gauntlet, the Power Sword, and the Melta Bombs. So this assassin, if you're not familiar, is one that's going to do really well against chaff units. Could do really well against Eldar. Could do really well against Sisters of Battle. He gets like a 3d6 charge. He has like a pistol 4. I'm going to say there's no way I'm going to be able to spell his name. Probably. Yeah, he's got pistol 4, -1 damage. You can reroll wounds against infantry. He's got a power sword and a Neuro Gauntlet. He's getting 6 attacks. He's getting +2 attacks if he charged or heroic intervention. He's charging on 3d6. You can obviously start in Deep Strike. If he kills a model, you can immediately make 1 additional attack with a melee weapon. You can also fall back and sorry, if the enemy falls back from him, he can shoot them if it was the shooting phase. If he dies, he can explode on a 4-up doing mortals. He can fight twice. He can get feel no pain against mortal wounds. I think his power sword is generally pretty good now. Strength 5, -3 and 1 damage, and 8 attacks with every dead model, giving him more attacks or ability to fight twice. He's a character that I guess he'd be great into like Sisters of Battle. He could probably wipe like a whole squad of Battle Sisters. He might be able to wipe a 5-man squad of tactical marines. I'm not entirely sure though. We then have a chaplain. Infernal Pistol jump pack, Master of Sanctity, Wiser Air, 1 CP cost. He's got Canticle of Hate, Litany of Faith, Litany of Hate. So he can do an aura of Feel No Pains against mortals. We then have a Librarian with a Force Sword, Infernal Pistol, and Jump Pack, Null Zone, Psychic Scourge, Veil of Time. He has Rites of War and Visage of Death. Alright, that's pretty interesting. So your Null Zone Librarian is your objective flipper. I'm not sure I love that idea, Highland Phoenix. In that, like, your Null Zone character usually ends up dying when you Null Zone. So if he is like your main objective flipper with rights and visage, yeah, I don't love that. Okay, elites. We've got 7 Sangard, couple of Infernal Pistols, mostly swords. We've got 6 Vanguard veterans, Lightning Claws and Storm Shields, couple Infernal Pistols and the Thunderhammer. Relic Terminators, with Sergeant with chain fists, a couple other with chain fists, a couple with lightning claws. Death Company with 4 hammers, jump packs. Scouts, you've got the Sergeant, dual wielding and infernal pistols, and you've got 4 with combat knives and bolt pistols. Troops, you've got 2 Incursor squads and a heavy Intercessor squad with the Hellstorm bolt rifles and the heavy Helmstorm. I'm going to have to look those up. I forget what Helmstorm bolt rifles are. I bought heavy Intercessors and I'm still to use them myself. I bought them like ages ago when they first came out in Kill Team. Helmstorm bolt rifle, assault 3. All right, so it's strength 5, no AP, 1 damage. So these are almost like auto bolt rifle intercessors, but in Gravis armor, right? You've got the Landspeeder Storm with the heavy bolter. The scouts can go in it. You've got a regular Landspeeder with multi-melta. You got a Reaper with the Stubber, the Tempest bolters, the twin onslaught cannon, and then you've got your Whirlwind with a Castellan launcher. Okay. The rifles are assault 3, strength 5, no AP, 1 damage. Thank you. Appreciate that. Gladiators don't have fly. Interesting. I guess this was when they took the fly keyword away from stuff like the repulsor and impulsor. I didn't realize that the Gladiator didn't have the fly keyword. Okay. So it's got to move around terrain even though it's a hover tank. It still kept the repulsor field keyword, so it can make itself more difficult to charge. So the 3 troop choices, double Incursor I'm generally fine with. If you've got that, anything else goes. Heavy Intercessors have a bit of durability, they're fine. The Scouts and Landspeeder Storm can provide some good scoring. The Death Company with hammers can provide the Forlorn Fury. The Chaplain can provide the 7-inch charges with the Wiser 8 or Canticle of Hate. Devastator can kill chaff units. The Gladiator can kill chaff units. Your damage into... My concern with this list is going to be your late game damage into tough enemies, right? Like, and what I mean by that is, like, let's assume in turn 1 or something, you Forlorn Fury the Death Company. And usually what will happen is they'll kill something and then they die, right? So then after that, you've got the Relic Terminators, which could be screened and or have some problems with mobility. So you've just got your Sanguinary Guard and the Vanguard Veterans. Your Vanguard Veterans don't really do a ton of damage until turn 3, I guess the same as the Sanguinary Guard. You don't have a priest, so there's no assault doctrine before that. So you're kind of getting forced to slow play a little bit with the CP costs. And then I don't know if the Gladiator Reaper is good. I'm going to do a video on that. And I'm not loving the fact that my Null Zone character could also get killed very, very easily when I need Null Zone to go off. And he's my objective flipper. Excuse me. I'm not feeling the greatest right now. You need to have 2 Reapers to make this list better. I mean, potentially, but I don't like. We've talked a lot about how Sanguinary Guard are in a position where, like, they're the best unit that we can field in terms of, like, survivability and damage. So why the Vanguard Veterans? The Relic Terminators I'm okay with, but then I guess I don't love the Scout Squad either, actually. Scouts with double infernal pistols to shoot out of the land speeder. It seems a bit quirky. Right, hold on. Highland sent me another list. So this is an updated version he did with a priest of Rites of Warhammer and Indomitus, a tech marine with quake bolts, and then a captain with a relic blade infernal pistol, soul warden, and visage of death. Okay. Double Sandguard, triple death company veterans, infiltrators and cursors, assault intercessors, gladiator reapers ×2 in the whirlwind. I mean, I like this one a lot better, just saying. The 2 squads of Sanguinary Guards seem nice. The 3 squads of Death Company. The 3 troop choices. Yeah, this list seems much better than the last one. You also have Assault Doctor in there, so you're not going to have to burn CP. You got the Tech Marine there to support your heavy support. Really sad you can't make this guy into a cap. Like, I would make your captain Chapter Master. But I guess you've taken it because it gives you Fury of the Lost. It opens up Fury of the Lost a little bit better. Where can I find the rules for assassins? They are in... Oh god. I have to think here. I mean, you can go to Wikipedia and you can look them up there. But they're in the Psychic Awakening War of the Spider rule book, which is like, this will be out of print by now, 100%. So you're probably just best to go to the Wikipedia URL. I'll just put it in the chat, so you can read it up on there. They haven't updated the assassins yet for 9th edition. I guess they probably will be soon, or possibly. I don't know. I don't know if anything will actually really change with assassins. Not much seems to change edition to edition. All right, I love this one a lot better. You've got Quake Bolts, so you can get those buffs on the Death Company. Yeah, it feels like it's sucky that you... This is just a general observation I've seen about people going for Fury of the Lost against... Fury of the Lost makes you sort of pressured to have 4 Blood Angels Death Company units. So when you've got the 3 squads here, you obviously have the captain, and you've made him the Lost. Personally, I just think the captain with Chapter Master is so valuable. Like, Chapter Master rerolls on a Fallen Fury Death Company it's crazy valuable. Like, it increases their damage output by, like, I don't know, 100% or something. I did a video on the increase of damage a few weeks back, right? So it's like, yes, you could maybe make scoring Fury of the Lost a little bit easier, but then your Death Company don't quite have that same impact that you need them to have or want them to have in turn 1. Because one of the things I've been doing is, like, I guess your Quake Bolts could potentially help the Death Company in turn 1. And Quake Bolts being on the Tech Marine because it's 2-up. Yeah, I mean, maybe that's okay. I find Chapter Master rerolls just so valuable. I don't feel there's any other way that's so reliable that makes me... Because quite often I've thought to myself, like, the Chapter Master is expensive, he's 165 points, would it be better just getting a captain? But, like, if he gives out those rerolls once or twice throughout the game, I feel like that's enough of a value you've got out of that. The priest is the warlord, so this angry guard will hit a bit easier. The priest also have rights of war and armor and dominance to make her tanky. The captain's in there as well. I mean, overall, I think this list is nice. I just don't know how I feel about Gladiator Reapers yet. That's why my Fury of the Lost Risk runs Dante and a Death Company captain. And wasn't that just what Chris Chance ran in the ATC last week? Wasn't that what we were talking about? He ran a Chapter Master and a Death Company captain, and he just felt like that was better for him than Mephiston or whatever. And I mean, I guess there is an argument for it, right? Like Death Company captain could certainly. I mean, Death Company captain will probably provide value. Relic Blade, Infernal Pistol, high movement. There's a Chapter Master and a basic captain for Chris. Was it, Stephen? Thank you. I thought he had a Death Company one. I don't know why I thought that. Okay. So Highland Phoenix says he thinks that 2 Gladiator Reapers will be good. Well, how many shots would we actually have if we had 2 Reapers? At 30 inches, we'd have heavy 48, 6 minus 1 1. And then we'd have rapid fire 16, 4 minus 1 1. Okay. And then you could put on the stubber for a little bit more. With the points drops of the Reapers, I'm really not disliking them. I'm just going to have to do some maths on them to find out if I actually feel that like they're valuable to take, and that's what we're going to do in the next few weeks, Highland Phoenix. You're going to see a video about breaking down the Gladiator Reaper. I'll probably even compare it to a Baal Predator to a certain extent, and see exactly what's what. Okay. Alright, so some +1s to hit, some rerolls from the captain, couple of Sangre Guard, couple of Reapers, and then I guess a veteran or 2 to potentially perform an action or hold an objective or something like that. It's a cool list. 1 squad of infiltrators as well to make the backfield feel very strong too. So this list I like a lot more than the first one you did. They've changed a lot though, the Reapers. Right? The Reapers have come down in points like 3 times since I did that Baal Predator video. It was 8 months ago I did this. Like, yeah, so the Reaper was 210 points. It's now 180. The Baal Predator's gone down in points as well since then too. So anyway, I'll make an updated video on Reapers and decide if they're viable now. Because I do think Marine armor is very difficult to pick right now. I mean, I've been running an Astraeus, which is a very, very strange edge pick. And I'd probably prefer not to run the super heavy tank because it's giant and annoying, and in some ways it feels skill-less, I guess. You know, it's just like, hey, I have a giant tank that's toughness 8 and 30 wounds and has 2 basically shields that make it even more durable. And then it can also do 100 wounds back to you a turn. So like the Astraeus, I'd probably prefer to not to have to lean heavily on the Astraeus, but I don't know what the best support is at the moment. Onslaught Gatlings come a little unstuck, I find at times. Volume is great, but 16 shots from 2 Redemptors is only decent into situational targets. Yeah, I mean, that's why. Well, there should be a balance slate only a few weeks away now, right? Because the last balance slate was the 23rd of June. So July, August, September, we might be due a balance slate like 2 weeks from today. If they bring Reapers down again in points, or Ball Predators, then it's going to be super interesting, right? Alright, let's have a look at James' list next. I think the reason that we might like the Reapers, Mark, and I could be off base here, is Dreadnoughts are brilliant for Blood Angels, but Dreadnoughts eat up elite slots, right? So how do we... So Reapers might not be as good as Dreadnoughts, or they might be similar, but if they are similar, is it better to take them just because they don't eat up those elite slots? And I think that's because, I mean, over the last year and a half, my best tournament finishes, and I think all of my tournament lists except the last event had Dreadnoughts in them. The last event was where I placed top 3, so I mean, maybe that was a sign for me that like I should stop relying on Dreadnoughts. 2 Redemptors with Plasmas and Gatling is superior to 2 Reapers. That's what that's my initial thoughts, John. I agree with that, but the problem with Redemptors and my experiences with them is if you roll 1 on those plasma numbers, then you're up shit creek. That can make or break a game. You can win or lose a game on the number of shots on those heavy plasmas. Might we get a data slate post LGT? I don't know, Harry, but I mean, they did say that they were going to be doing a data slate every 3 months. So, and one of the reasons, sorry, you sent me a list. Where did you send it, James? Is it on Discord? Sorry, I'm not really a functioning human today. I think it's here. This one? Reapers are tougher and faster. I mean, T8 v T7. Yeah. Over time, my comparison videos and my comparison slides have got better. Reapers have gone down in points. Scotsman ever functioning humans. On a Sunday after the night I had last night, we're not. But I would like to figure out what is like. I was going to say what's optimal or what's viable. Because really we don't want. We could maybe take a Dreadnought and then have 5 other like elite choices. But I think like if you take double Dreadnought, then you start limiting your elite choices pretty significantly. And like I said, I don't dislike double Dreadnought. I think it's strong. I ran it. I even ran triple Dreadnought at one of the events I was at last year. Yeah, Duty Eternal plus the 1 less toughness probably balances out against that 1 higher toughness on the Reaper, really, right? Because like if you get hit with multi-melters on a Reaper, you're gonna have a pretty bad day because once you're wounded, You're gonna get a save on a 6 or something, and saves on 6s, and they're gonna die. They're only 12 wounds, the Reapers. Ultimately, Blood Angels, Dreadnoughts benefit a lot from. Yeah, which is strange that the meta has completely moved away from Dreadnoughts, right? Because there was a meta around Double Redemptor. There was also a meta around Double Contemptor. Arguably, Contemptor Dreadnoughts with the Volkites have got better because they had no AP anyway. So if you're shooting them in the Armor of Contempt targets, they get no benefit from their Armor of Contempt. I tried Leviathans recently, Turkey, because the reason I tried the Leviathan because the Grav Flux has 2d3, and 2d3 sounds like it should be and feel a lot more reliable than the Plasmas from the Redemptor. But then the problem with the Grav Flux and the Leviathan is it's not core, so you don't get any rerolls. So should people just start falling back onto double Redemptor for Blood Angels? I mean, it's possible, but I think the problem. I think the reason the meta changed is Sanguinary Guard got a lot more better because of Armor of Contempt. Death Company dropped a lot of points because of and got Armor of Contempt. So a lot of people want to stack the lists with Death Company, Sanguinary Guard. Some people want to stack them with Centurions as well, but like then it makes it difficult to get the Dreadnoughts in. So yeah, I don't have the right answer. I'm probably going to play a super heavy tank to this RTT next Saturday, and I'm either going to win the RTT, I'm going to blow everybody away, or I'm going to do terrible. But I'm going to have fun because I've never taken a super heavy tank to an event before, so that's my thought about it. But like, the reason I've taken a super heavy tank is because I'm struggling to pick what the best fire support is for Blood Angels, because I think Blood Angels work best with like 300 or 400 points of decent fire support. They can chip away or clear a squad or destroy a tough vehicle, and that's where I stand on it. The Kratos tank might be solid. Yeah, the Kratos tank isn't so bad. Do you think an Astreus is better than the Fellblade? I don't own a Fellblade. I own a Falchion, which is a variant. It's the variant of the Hellblade. Sorry, it's the variant of the Fellblade that's more about anti-Titan. So it's got like the twin volcano cannon on top, and the thing with the volcano cannon is it's flat 6 damage, and it's reroll all wounds into Titans. Hellblasters as fire support. I hate Hellblasters. I think they're so expensive. They're just a Marine and 2 wounds, and they cost like 33 points per model. They're more expensive than Sanguinary Guard. They might be better for other chapters, but for Blood Angels, I don't love them. But do I think the Strace is better than the Falchion? The Strace flies, which makes it easier to move around a table, which I think is going to help if I go to a tournament, because the Falchion could essentially get boxed in. The Strace doesn't cost any CP. It's like 4 more wounds and the Void Shield, so I think it's more survival. And again, I always talk about like survivability being key. Sometimes to do a little bit less damage, but survive is better, I think. So the Falchion will do more damage, cost me 1 CP, but the Strace is going to linger around and survive and then get repaired. The one thing that I don't like about the Strace versus the Falchion is the Falchion actually benefits from Blood Angels. We talked a minute ago about like how Dreadnoughts benefit from being Blood Angels. Well, the Falchion benefits from being Blood Angels because it can do quite a bit in melee, in that it can have 6 attacks, and it's got a weapon skill of 5+. So if we charge in turn 3, you're getting 8 attacks on 5+. Yeah, 5+ kind of sucks, but you could still get realistically 3 or 4 hits, and it's hitting at strength 8 minus 2 d3 damage. And again, +1 to wound, remember, from Red Thirst as well. So basically, you're going to wound on 2s. You're going to be minus 3d3 damage. So the falchion, it's less survivable. And I think that's why I'm leaning towards taking the Strayus. If Hellblasters were 150 points for 5, I'd have more time for them. 165 is too much. I probably agree, Harry. Vindicator Laser Destroyer and Tech Marine is pretty solid. Do you know what? Vindicator Laser Destroyers are good. I commissioned one a little while ago. I'm still waiting for it. But I do like Vindicator Laser Destroyers. What do you want the Firestorm to be good at killing? That's why people used to really lean on Redemptor Dreadnoughts, I guess, right? Because they can kill heavy targets, but they can also kill chaff units with their Stormbolters and their Gatling cannon. Rizziel says he wouldn't use a super heavy tank, but he likes the Falchion better. If you've never played with super heavy tanks, they're fun to use now and again, right? I lost both Redemptors and my Eradicators and my Death Company in turn 1 against Chaos Knights last week and still won. How on earth did you manage that, Daniel? But well done. Okay, let's talk about James's list because it's been sat on my screen for about 5 minutes. He's gone with the 6 Voidsmen at Arms. 48 points, that is. He's gone with Dante as the Warlord. Lamartas with Mantra of Strength and Canticle of Hate. And James has been banging on at me about Lamartas, trying to tell me that Lamartas is good. Why is he good? Lamartas... You can reroll charges for Death Company, Core, or characters within 6. He has Death Company, so he can reroll his own charge. Death Company within 6 can use his leadership of 9. And then he does special litanies that only affect the Death Company. He does have the Black Rage keyword, so he is going to get +1 attack. So he's really on 5 attacks. But his Crozius is a custom Crozius, and it has got 1 additional point of AP over sort of the standard Crozius. So it's strength 6 minus 2 damage. Okay. He's got 1 squad of Assault Intercessors and 2 squads of Cursors. He's got 4 Blade Guard Veterans. I don't know, man. I ran Blade Guard Veterans in one of my lists a couple of weeks ago. They feel average ever since Armor of Contempt came out. For a long time I was thinking they didn't feel that much more survivable anyway, because any time you play Transhuman on them, they typically end up dying anyway. So Blade Guard Veterans, 4-man, I guess 140 points. I'm not loving it. Lamartas can't use Death Visions, I'm afraid. If you read the Death Vision bit, there's a specific keyword or something that they need. Where's my Blood Angels Codex? It's on page... I think it's on the page where you upgrade them to the Lost. Where's that again? Here. So yeah, a model. It's on page 47. It says it's in the bit about when you upgrade them to the Lost, and it says after that a model inducted into the Death Company gains the Black Rage and Death Visions ability. Page 63. So what that means is on page 63 where it says Death Visions, your Lamartes, like, he doesn't have Death Visions. He has Death Company, So he's part of the Death Company, but he would need the keywords Death Visions to be able to access the Death Visions. So, unfortunately, yeah, he can't do that. I mean, he gets the +1 attack and he gets the Feel No Pain, but he doesn't get access to the Death Vision keywords. Bladeguard Veterans are my favourite models, to be honest. They're great counter-offensive, survivable, but they can be pretty hard to shift. Yeah, I mean, I think Bladeguard Veterans for me work better as a unit that's going to stay in like cover and hold an objective, as opposed to an offensive unit. They can obviously do some offense, but like that's where they're best now. I feel like after Armor of Contempt, we've got 1x5 Death Company with 4 hammers. We've got 1x10 Death Company with 4 hammers, 4 with power swords and infernal pistols, and then we've got another 5-man Death Company with power swords and infernal pistols. I like all your Death Company. I think 3 squads of Death Company like this is actually pretty strong now. I think for the points cost of them. Annoyingly, the strat Visions of Sanguinius does say rules that is written can make Lamartes use 2 different Death Visions. Let me read this then. Because we've talked about this before with some people, and we felt like it was pretty clear Lamartes can't do Death Visions. Use the stratagem with a Death Company character model from your army selected to fight. That model can do the following. If that model already has used a Death Vision, it can use another Death Vision that phase. If that model has not already used a Death Vision, it can use 2 Death Visions. Alright, yeah, I mean, rules is written, this is valid, sure. But, like, rules is intended. I'm pretty sure they didn't intend you to be able to use Death Visions on characters that don't have the Death Vision keyword. I think you're reaching there. I think if you're going to do that at a tournament, you need to ask the tournament organizer if this is valid, because that, like, if you scroll up a little bit, you can see Death Visions is clearly called out as like a keyword that you would expect the model to have to be able to use Death Visions, right? Major Paint says brave the Ukraine. Yeah, I mean, we're all supporting Ukraine, however long it takes, I guess. What's your thoughts on Assault Intercessors vs Inceptors vs Infiltrators? I mean, that's 3 completely different units, Doug. I'm sure I've done videos on all 3 of those units. I mean, just search Blood Angels Commander YouTube on the unit names, and typically I mean, I'm at the point now where if I haven't made a video about a specific unit, you could ask me to do it and I'll make it, because I've made a ton of them. We can only play the rules as they're written, James. Yeah, I mean, we can, James. That one's that you're reaching a little bit there. I mean, like if I mean, I don't know. Personally, I probably just wouldn't. If you're gonna take Lamartas to a tournament and that's a stratagem that you're gonna use on him, I would check with your tournament organizer, because I think rules is intended. That's not what they intended. You've got 2 Redemptors with Plasmas, Gatlings, Storm Bolters, and Rocket Bods. You've got the Whirlwind. You've got Eliminators with Quake Bolts, Bolt Carbine, and Last Fusils. And 6 CP is a lot to leave. 6 CP is a lot to leave, but options open to send either 5-man or 10-man Death Company in Forlorn Fury and put them into Assault Doctrine. Of course, because you don't have the Priest. Yeah, that's very true. There's actually not that many upgrades you could take here that would be worth doing, I guess. Heroic Bearing might be worth doing. I often don't say Heroic Bearing might be worth doing, but it just might be worth doing Heroic Bearing actually here, because you've got that 10-man unit of Death Company, and you might want to get like a lot of reroll ones in a big bubble. So apart from that, I think 6 CP is fine. 2 Redemptors, the 3 Death Company units. I guess you're going to be able to do Fury of the Lost here. GW writing is the best, it says. Jim, yeah, they're notoriously bad for doing that, where it's like, and then they're even worse for leaving it for like 2 years. So yeah, maybe at this point, James, you're probably just safe to do it. And if, I mean, technically, rules as written, it says that he can use Death Visions even if he's not done it, and technically, it doesn't say that he needs to have the keyword. So I mean, ugh, it's bad wording for sure. Dale says I'm Blood Angels, and my roommate plays Tau and he wrecks me. I'm fairly new. You need to obscure everything in your army when you play Tau. After you've deployed Dale, he should be able to shoot nothing. He should see nothing. And if there's not enough terrain on the board for you to deploy where he can shoot nothing, then you don't have enough terrain on your board. Look at like the Games Workshop standard amounts of terrain. You could Google WTC terrain. That's one of the ones that we use. Like it's the World Team Championship. So just WTC terrain. Click here, and like you'll be able to like scroll down to there's a download thing for like the terrain maps. Here it is. I was gonna say, you open that and it'll show you a bunch of boards and how much terrain should be on them, and yeah. Like Blood Angels and Tau is very difficult, but oh, my daughter's up, one sec. Okay, if we're using the chat, I'm planning on using the strat in about an hour and 15 minutes. Okay. Sorry, my daughter just woke up for a second. You still can't hear me, or you can hear me now? The Martyrs is absolutely stuck in the Black Rage. He's just unique because he's still aware that he's not actually at the Siege of Terra. Dude is 100% seeing traitors and Horus, though. So you would think he could use Death Visions, but I guess it's badly worded. Or well, it's not badly worded. He's just missing the keyword. It could be it could literally be that Games Workshop forgot to put the keyword on here and they meant to do it, right? Maybe that's what we'll say that they meant to do. Okay, so does that change your thought on that list? Does it make that list weaker if you can't use the Death Visions? But the 4 Blade Guard Veteran maybe stick out as like the one thing that I don't love in this list. Like, would it just be better if it was just a squad of Sandguard? Like, is there a way that we could you need to like find 40 points to make it a 6-man squad of Sandguard? Is there a way we could shave like 40 points of weapons off some of these death companies? Like, shave like a couple of Infernal Pistols out of one squad, a couple of Infernal Pistols out of the other squad, maybe shave the Rocket Pods or something. Rocket Pods for me are always a bit of a weird one, right? Like, they never, on paper they look okay, but usually like over the course of the game they do like 2 damage or something, right? Like maybe 1 wound sneaks through in the rocket pods and does 2 damage. So yeah, that's the only thing I think I'd maybe try and change is I think Sanguinary Guard are the best unit at the moment, and I think Blade Guard are a bit meh. Um, yeah, yeah. Oh, look, here's your terrain map. Yeah, like have a look at some of these bits of like 12 pieces of terrain on the map. Like look at this one: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So yeah, if you're playing on this map, Blood Angels against Town, it's like a long ways deployment. Everything should be behind these large pieces of terrain. And when, in turn 1, if he goes first, he shouldn't be able to. Even after he moves, and this is the trick that you need to get good with. Um, Even after he moves in turn 1, he should still not be able to draw a line of sight against any of your models. Now that getting good at that is tricky, but once you get there, you'll notice that you'll do so much better with Blood Angels. So practice that, practice deployments, and in some of my like videos that I've put on the channel of like games that I win, or sometimes on the battle reports, you'll see that like we might say like who wants to go first, and like my opponent might be like, well, I don't really want to go first against you, because if I go first against you, I can't shoot anything, can't do any damage in turn 1. Yeah. Okay, so I mean that's my only thought is Blade Guard veterans aren't that mobile, they aren't that good. Sanguinary Guard are. Try and squeeze them in. And I guess the only way you're doing that is losing some of the upgrades you have here and there. I suppose it depends on the role that they need to fill. Yeah, I mean, Blade Guard veterans can sit in the backfield and help protect. But I usually find if you've got like a Whirlwind, a couple of Redemptors, a couple of squads of Incursors, you're probably going to be able to screen your backfield well enough anyway. So, port the Blade Guard for that the Sanguinary Guard can't do. If you're talking about late game punch as well, Sanguinary Guard jumping out 12 inches are going to do a lot more punch, in my opinion, than Blade Guard moving 6. And I mean, I've won games at tournaments as well, and I've won tournament from the Heroic Intervention strat that Sanguinary Guard give. Because the Heroic Intervention strat, sometimes, if your opponent isn't. Well, 1, they maybe don't know your army, or 2, they leave a unit within 6 inches of Sanguinary Guard. You can get 9 inches additional movement in their turn from that strat. You move 6 to heroically intervene, you fight, you kill the model, then you consolidate 3 inches. So potentially you can Sanguinary Guard, if they're positioned well and they ever get a heroic intervention, then you basically get like 21 inches of movement, because you Heroic intervene 6, you consolidate 3, and then you move 12 in your next turn. Like, you can get halfway across the board in 1 turn. Any advice against playing against Space Wolves? Yeah, I mean, Space Wolves have a lot of stuff that fights last, and they also make you fight last. So, if you're fighting Space Wolves, you need to read up on everything that they have in the list, because there's so many things that will counter Blood Angels in there. And against Thousand Suns, you're probably going to want Soul Warden. If you don't run Soul Warden, you need to really consider putting that into your list as well. Tycho does have the keyword. Does Tycho have the Death Visions keyword? If he does, that's funny. I didn't even realize he had it. No, he doesn't. Oh, he does. He does have Death Visions. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, yes. So Tycho has Death Visions. So yeah, it's kind of a mistake. I guess I'd be surprised if they don't rework that stratagem in the next iteration, because rules as written or rules as intended, Lamartis probably shouldn't be able to do death visions, but that stratagem says he kinda can do 2 of them because it's badly worded. Okay, we got Packhammer. He's the last list for this week. And I was going to say next week's lists, just to remind you, are Darth Reefer, Desramic, James Gibb, Obsob, Price 586. I saw Price hanging out in the channel today, so thanks for that, Price. We'll get you next week. And Turkey, we'll get you next week as well, dude. Cool. Okay, and then if you do want to submit a list, you guys know how to do it. Just head over to the Blood Angels Commander YouTube channel page here, click on the community tab, and then just post your list in the latest community post. So just click here, just post your list as a comment. That's the best way to get it to me, or get it to me over on Discord. You can DM me on Discord if you do join us on Discord. Click the link in the video description below. Blade Guard veterans provide a bit of tankiness, can provide counter charges with transports. I do think it's personal preference. I don't think it's personal preference for Blade Guard veterans. If they're ever in the open, they struggle because they don't get Armor of Contempt, which means, like, if you were shooting Sanguinary Guard in the open, -1, they're saving on 2s. -1 on the Blade Guards, they're saving on 3s, right? So the Blade Guards are only going to be good into, like, really high AP attacks where it goes to their 4-up invulnerable save. And ideally, they're only going to be good against 2 damage models, or 2 damage attacks as well, because, like, 2 of them will be needed to kill a single model because they're 3. I made 7 Blade Guard veterans and I painted them all, and I kept running a 5-man squad and I stuck with it for a long time. I recently tried to run the 3-man squad, but, like, yes, they get a lot of attacks. Arguably, they get slightly more attacks than Sanguinary Guard, and arguably they get slightly better leadership than Sanguinary Guard. But I think just it's more like, we always talk about Blood Angels. The best thing that they've got for them is mobility. So, Doug, thank you so much for becoming a member. I do appreciate it. So, like, if mobility is the best thing that we've got, then when a Sanguinary Guard is 30 points and a Blade Guard veteran is 35, would it not just be much better to have, unless you have a very clear purpose of the Blade Guard, I guess. Like, you're sitting them in the cover, you're holding the backfield, that's all they're doing. But then the thing is, if you were to score a Sanguinary Guard that's sitting in the backfield and they're just holding, at some point throughout the game, if they're not needed in the backfield anymore, pay 1 CP and Wings of Fire them on the other side of the battlefield. That's flexibility that Blade Guards don't have, right? My buddy usually rolls around with Assault Intercessors, Woven Guard, Dreadnoughts, and Eradicators of Space Wolves. Yeah, that sounds pretty nasty, Doug. And one of the videos I did recently was how I lost a tournament at the top table against a Space Wolf player. It was called Masterclass Part 2. So maybe if you just search, like, Blood Angels Masterclass. Yeah, this one, Part 2, that was me losing the... well, I mean, sure, I lost the tournament. I finished 3rd. I have a little plaque right here. This is a little chainsaw that said 3rd place. So maybe you want to watch that video about Space Wolves. Okay, last list for today. Packhammer Minis. Hi, Blood Angels Commander. Last time watching the show, I sent an army list. The problem is that he sent the wrong list, so here's the real one. He used it a last game and drew against Tau. Any ideas how we can improve it? Alright, so it's 1500, 5 CP. Oh, it's just a 1500 point list. Okay, just nice and simple, not quite 2000 points. So he's got a squad of servitors. With multi-meltas. I was like 60 point servitors, what the fuck? Okay, multi-meltas and the servitors. I mean, I don't love that because their weapon skill is 4? Sorry, ballistic skill is 4. Do they get the improvements to their ballistic skill if they're near the tech marine? I can't think. Servitors. While they're within 6 inches of a tech marine. Oh, their ballistic skill is 5. It's only if they're within 6 inches of the tech marine it becomes 4. Okay, then I really dislike multi-meltas when the ballistic skill is 5. Wow. Okay. So a couple of servitors with ballistic skill of 5. I mean, he does have the tech marine in there, so maybe it's not the end of the world. We have a chaplain on a bike with Soul Warden. He's a Master of Sanctity. Fear Made Manifest. That's a warlord trait we literally never see taken. And he's also got the Emperor's Judgment, another one we never see taken. I dislike both of these. I'll tell you why. Fear Made Manifest is the one where I think you cause -1 to morale around you. Yeah, so around you, subtract 1 to leadership, and each time combat attrition is made, subtract 1. And then Emperor's Judgment is the one where you can turn off rerolls. Oh my god, what was that? Did my sound card just explode? You guys hear that weird static, or is it just me? I'm in a Votan Discord and they aren't even released yet. We've done a like 2.5 hour breakdown of the Votan Codex for the Grotz channel. That's coming out on Thursday night. So apparently I can't view being a YouTube member as it's not available in my country. How much would it be to be one? Sometimes you can't become a YouTube member if you're on an Apple device. But if you can't become a YouTube member, you can also become a Patreon member. There is links in the description to Patreon, and they'll both get you into the Discord members only room. So the Emperor's Judgment, when each time attack is made against the bearer, your opponent cannot reroll hits or wounds, cannot reroll the damage. And when enemy units within 6 inches of the bearer, each time a morale test is taken for that unit, roll 1 additional d6 and discard the lowest result. Okay. So it's some sort of janky thing where he's trying to make the enemy fail leadership tests around your chaplain. The problem is the chaplain doesn't have that great a weapon, right? Like, it's just a -1 2 damage Crozius he's running. So we'll have to see what can potentially keep up with the chaplain. Alright, we've got the priest, who's the selfless healer, has got the Vigil of Death. We've got the Tech Marine, who's got strange choices for a Tech Marine. I usually run mine with no upgrades. Gift of Foresight, Adamantium Mantle. I mean, he's tried to make like a pretty survivable Tech Marine, but surely the Tech Marine's hanging around next to your vehicles and can't be shot. We got 3 squads of Assault Intercessors, and while Assault Intercessors are fine, and Cursors are just better. They're more mobile. They can forward deploy, they can screen the board, they can redeploy. We also have an Apothecary here with Armor Indomitus, so straight away, like, I feel like there's way too many. There's too. Do you need a Sanguinary Priest and an Apothecary? Like, I don't think so. Like, you need 1 healer or no healers. You don't need 2 of them ever. We have a very large Death Company, all with chainswords. We have a 10-man Sanguinary Guard with 2 Power Fists, and then we have a Whirlwind with a Hunter Killer Missile and a Stormbolter and a Vengeance Launcher. Okay, yeah, we can improve this for sure. This list feels like he's new, and he hasn't had quite enough games under his belt. I think he's tried to make some synergy, but like, let's fix this. Our infiltrators taking over is best. Seen what demons do. I haven't seen the Demons Codex. I think Colin has it. When did it come out, the Demons Codex? Was it like this weekend or was it last weekend? I think it might have been last weekend. Was it? Do we need to get the Demon Codex for the plus? Sorry, not the plastic crackheads. I'm really struggling today. Do we need to get the Demon Codex for the Three Grots channel, Mark? And maybe we can look at breaking them down. I mean, we've got a pretty decent breakdown on Voltan coming this week, which is crazy because that that codex has some serious power creep in it compared to that codex has some serious power creep in it compared to Marines, I feel like. Alright, so in 1500-point game, I don't know if I would even try and make the Tech Marine better. And if your only vehicle is a Whirlwind, I wouldn't take a Tech Marine. Like the Whirlwind doesn't do any damage, so having a Tech Marine there doesn't help you at all. I would take a Captain over a Tech Marine for sure. I would also probably this leadership jankiness that you have on this chapter master. Sorry, on the chaplain seems like it's, well, no one's running it in competitive play, so it can't be that strong. You know, and imagine you play against Sisters of Battle. Well, they can always just use Miracle Dice to pass their leadership in ones. So if Sisters of Battles can always, you know, so they're like, they would just instantly nullify this character you've spent 3 CP on, which is gonna kind of suck. Assault Intercessors are fine. You need to get a box of Incursors. And then the Death Company and the Sanguinary Guard. Sanguinary Guard 10 is way too much. You should be running 7s max. And if you're running only 1500 points, you could probably run 6. So I'd probably redo this where you have 2 6-man squads of Sanguinary Guard. And you lose this Apothecary. He's not needed. You already have a Priest. The Priest can pretty much hang out next to both squads of Sanguinary Guard. You don't need the Apothecary. You also, if you're going to run the Whirlwind, you want to run him as cheap as possible. So you want to run the Castellan Launcher and not the Vengeance Launcher. And you can still take your Servitors if you want. But like, I think if you're going to run the Tech Marine and the Servitors and you're going to try and make that into a thing, then you need to run a Dreadnought or something that the Tech Marine can actually get value out of being near, because the Whirlwind, the Tech Marine provides no value to the Whirlwind. Whirlwind doesn't do any damage. Finding 15 points for Infiltrators over Incursors is always tricky. It is, and I hate how little damage Infiltrators do in combat, but I mean, maybe if demons can come inside 9 inches regularly, then that'll be a problem. The Votan look busted. The Votan are going to be strong as all hell pricey. If you haven't subscribed to our podcast channel, then subscribe this week, because it's a 2.5 hour video about everything that's in the Votan Codex and just why it's so strong. The Math Hammer between 3 hammers and 4 hammers, because 3 is still decent wound output, but might get the 15 points. 4 hammers, I think, is the way to go, Mike, because you put yourself in a situation where very unlikely for you to not get the kills. Okay. Alright, interesting list tonight, guys. I'm sorry if my insight hasn't been quite as good as it normally would be. I am feeling kind of tired and a bit all over the place because of all the drinking I did last night. But yeah, please, Mark's put a link to the podcast in the chat. Please click on that. Please click subscribe. You'll see the video, our podcast videos always go out on Thursday. You'll see, like, it'll pop up on YouTube sort of 24 hours before it goes live, so you won't be able to miss it. And 19 drinks next time. Yeah. I don't have 19 drinks very often. Where can I send me the roster? over in the community tab of the Blood Angels Commander on YouTube is where to send it. Cool. Well, yeah, the Votan stuff is coming out this week, and maybe we'll try and do demons in the near future. Yeah, it's good to cut loose. Yeah, it was a crazy good night we had last night, but I think when I got back to the flat, because we were in Edinburgh, I had 7 pints of water, and I still feel like bad today. So heavily depends on what drink we had 19 of. So I think I must have started with like a couple of beers and a whiskey, then like 3 or 4 more beers, then maybe like a couple of vodkas, then we had espresso martinis, then more vodkas, then probably a couple more beers. Then there was a Jack and Coke, then there was Sambuca, then there was Jaeger bombs. No, it wasn't Jaeger bombs, it was just shots of Jaeger, sorry, there was no Red Bull. So yeah, it was like all it's random ass drinks. Yeah, last night was crazy. So enjoy. Thank you for watching. Thanks for sticking with me this week. If you do have a list for this future, please submit it and we'll look at it. And this week on the channel, I think I'm going to play Sisters of Battle on Wednesday. We've got that Votan podcast episode coming out on Thursday. I'll probably do maybe a live stream on Thursday night looking at some of the lists from the RTT I'm going to this weekend, maybe. And yeah, I guess this weekend I will try and take some photos and film some stuff so I can do like another breakdown on how I do this RTT. But I'm like 90% sure I'm just going to take a super heavy tank and see what happens. It's going to be fun. I'm just going to this event to have fun. I don't think Blood Angels. I think there's too many counters in the meta right now for Blood Angels. Like it's just been getting harder and harder and harder to win games. And when you play against Sisters, and when you play against Necrons, and these guys like score 90 points without even trying, it's like I just want to have fun. For the next couple of months. And I guess we've got a balance slate coming in a couple of weeks, right? Quick question, says Doug. At my local game store, there is a Primaris Eradicator. Are those worth it? Eradicators are on the list of possible best heavy support Blood Angels units. I made a video like 2 weekends ago about how to build the Blood Angel strengths. And I'd said that like fire support for Blood Angels is like Eliminators, the Whirlwind, Land Speeders, Eradicators, Redemptor Dreadnoughts, Attack Bikes. I mean, all these things are decent. I haven't put the Gladiator Reapers on there. We're going to do a video about the Reaper this week. But yeah, they're all decent. It's just a case of I don't know if there's a specific one that you can just say this is the best option. Mark made a very good point earlier about like Dreadnoughts getting a good bonus from the core keyword, but also getting a good bonus because they have melee damage which synergizes with Blood Angels, right? So, oh, the Repulsor Executioner? No, it's terrible. Don't buy it. Yeah, I wouldn't buy one. I have a Repulsor that sat on my to-do / painting table for about 3 years. I don't know when I'm ever going to get to it. Okay. Blood Angels have been quite a tough army to play well in 9th. But I think Games Workshop probably know that, and I think we probably will get some improvements in the future. But yeah, I'm gonna peace out tonight, guys. I enjoy you guys all hanging out. Thanks again for watching. Please hit the like button before you leave the stream. I would appreciate that. And I'll catch you guys on like Wednesday night, and then probably a couple of times more this week. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Like I said, sorry if I'm a bit slow tonight. I'll catch you guys soon. Peace.